The views and opinions expressed on This Can't Be Adulting are solely those of the host and do not represent or reflect the views of any individual, organization, employer, or entity we may be affiliated with. The content of this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Listener discretion is advised. Yo, welcome to This Can't Be Adulting, the podcast where two guys who probably should have it all figured out absolutely don't.
Careers, money, relationships. No one handed us a manual, so we're figuring it out the only way we know how, with real talk, deep dives, and a whole lot of laughs.
I'm Herb.
And I'm Derek. And if you're out here wondering, am I doing this right? Trust us, you're not alone.
So hit play, relax, and let's figure this out together. Yo, welcome back to... What's this called again?
I can't even remember. It's been so long ago.
Welcome back to This Can't Be Adulting Season 2.
Season 2. Damn,
Yes.
it's been a minute. We haven't recorded in 2 months.
Yep, that
2
is
months. Like literally like December 15th around that time.
with the last, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Hey, as you can see,
We're back.
we're back.
New setup.
New setup. The couch is gone.
Yeah, well, it's in the room. You just can't see it in the frame.
I know for some of y'all know y'all sat out there, Derek's legs are gone.
Derek's legs are gone. Sorry about that.
Man.
There's too much crotch being sewn, apparently, is what I was being told. And
We're getting shadow banned. That's what it was.
yeah, I was getting shadow banned before that. I thought it was because of the Israel-Palestine episode. Apparently, it was because I was showing too much crotch.
There ain't no OnlyFans over here. Y'all better get it right.
No, but it's good to be back. Herb and I have been trying to revamp things up a little bit. And, man, life.
Woo.
Life. Just a lot going on.
A
Like,
lot.
busy.
Which? Yeah. I was like, yes, a lot of things have changed.
A lot of things have changed from both perspectives too.
Yeah.
So even though I don't work a full-time job anymore, that's a bit. I work
It's an
part-time, but
adulting thing.
I still feel busy as hell.
Which is crazy.
Busier, yeah, because now I don't work from home.
Right,
I have
right.
to drive into an office.
Yep.
And so that drive is 25 to 30 minutes away, and that really changes things up.
That's what I was going to ask you, because as a lot of us are probably, I wonder what the balance is split out there between remote work and hybrid work and people that still have offices to go into. Now that you've gotten back going into an office or a location, what's the feeling?
I mean, it doesn't feel. It's interesting. It's more about what it does to my daily routine.
Yeah.
And I've said this plenty of times. Herb, you know this. I'm a very structured routine person. I'm also in the midst of training for the Austin Half Marathon, and so fitness is very important to me. And before working a full-time job and working from home, I was able to fit in all of my fitness routines in the morning. I'm a morning riser, so 5 to 5:30, I was able to get my walk in with Choco, full hour, eat breakfast, go to the gym, and maybe get a run in, and be on my computer by 11:30 for work, and that wasn't an issue because they didn't really care as long as you're getting your shit done.
Yeah.
And now I don't have time once I'm done with a workout to drive home, right? Because I would come home, shower, and I can jump on my computer right away.
Right,
I don't have that time to drive home 25 minutes. Go to my workout 20 minutes away, drive home 25 minutes, drive back to get to work. It don't make sense. So now I got to bring all my stuff. I got to make sure all my lunch is cooked. I'm not complaining. Sorry. It sounds like I'm complaining.
No.
I work part-time. I don't work a lot right now. But it's a change up.
It's still a demand. It's
a bit of a demand. And to be honest with you, one of the big themes that we talked about in last season around friends, around health, and all that is building community, is being social, is not being isolated.
Yes.
I've been isolating myself for a very long time, so I've been doing things to try to make myself more social.
Yep.
Right? So I've been trying to date again. That's a big one.
We got to do this
We got to do an episode on that. It's been interesting to say the least.
Derek on the scene.
Derek on the scene.
Right.
But I've also just been saying yes to coffee with friends.
Okay.
Saying yes to go to this birthday party. Saying yes to meeting up here for this event, and so that my day's just smacked. And it's in a good way. Don't get me wrong, but it's just been an adjustment. I'm tired. I'd be tired a lot, which this is not a bad thing. So.
Yeah. Tired is good. I will say that's better than being bored. But myself, this work has ramped up as well, but it's more so in the same thing. I realized at the end of the last year, just kind of evaluating and then going into this year and just trying to see what I can get better at. One of the things I noticed was I was becoming more isolated.
Yeah.
And it's so easy
to be, when you're working from home, to just get behind your computer and like the rest of the world is out there, and we have dogs and things, so there would be days like last week I didn't leave our house.
That's crazy.
And it's like,
yeah,
you just like, you lose the world whenever you do that. No matter how much you're getting done behind a laptop, you're just not having those personal interactions, whether they're just in passing or intentional, goes a long way. And I feel like that's been the biggest thing, is like getting my social.
It's super important, man. It's super important. And, and you're going to have weeks where you do get swamped, and that's okay. I think it's just about being self-aware and being like, oh shit, like I'm catching myself here. And so I get it, bro. Like we gotta pay bills though and shit. So I completely understand it from that perspective. Yeah. I do think, the beauty is that now that I do go into an office, and while I have a very small staff, I am like talking to people on a daily basis. And that is something much different. And, it makes me, it reminds me, just how quick you can lose your social interaction skills. And we're very social, we're very social people in the sense that we can talk to people, right? And so I don't think I'll ever lose that, but there's a little bit sometimes I get a little, and I've talked about this before, a little social anxiety where I'm like, oh, I got to do this, but it's good. It's been all good. Okay. It's been all good.
All right, well, that's good. That's good.
So
that's good.
Real quick, before we even jump into things, just so people know, as you can see, the setup's different. We wanted to make this a little bit more, the reality is that it was uncomfortable sitting on that couch. That is like the reality of it. We was always shifting. We was always this. So we made the executive decision to get this table. The other big thing is that we wanted to have our laptops in front of us, not because we didn't want to act like we weren't focusing, but we were looking at our phones too much. That looked a little bit weird. We wanted to be able to pull up data points, statistics, when we talk about things, if need be.
And things that we have in our heads.
Anything, yeah.
Or not in head, but things that we want to bring up on a specific topic a lot of times, and through conversation that you can forget those.
Yeah, you can forget those too. And we also got a layout of what we want to talk about in the episode here. I know I do, so I did some prep work for this and stuff like that. So hopefully this is a better viewing experience for y'all, and even listening experience. I know we get a lot of our supporters viewing us on YouTube. And again, we want to be very clear that we're going to try our best to be consistent. It's hard with so much going on in our lives, and we're soon to open up a social media platform, an account, which I think will keep you guys a little bit more informed about when we're dropping and all that. But I don't know, Herb, if you want to add any more to kind of what
I think it just, again, give more ways for you guys to interact and engage with us other than, a one side. I think one of the things I noticed, or a lot of the feedback that we probably both got from last season, was that, and going and speaking with family members, there's so many of them was like, I wanted to talk to y'all about this, or I wanted to chime in on this. So I think by having more social media out there, this would give you guys opportunities to engage with us more. And that's what it is. I think it's needed. It's needed.
It's a necessary evil.
It is a necessary
evil. I
evil.
feel about social media. For any little listeners, go check out our social media episode. I'm very steadfast and very hard-headed about that. But that's a good segue into what we're planning on talking about today.
Yes.
A lot of what we're going to do is we're going to try to more or less keep the same structure. But this particular episode, we're not going to do that because it's on AI. Hot topic, AI. Right. We're coming straight out the gates. And so it's very hard for us to sit here and talk about AI in our childhood because there was no AI in our childhood. Well, that's a correction. I'll talk a little bit about this in my fact at the end.
I thought you were going to talk about Allen Iverson. But anyway.
Oh, wait, yeah. Come on. Yeah.
They were like, wait. Yeah.
The best, right? And so we're really going to kind of just dive into it from that perspective and talk about it. And I think it's a good segue to just even talk about like human interaction and how AI is kind of, the opinions I have. And Herb and I have talked about this before.
I think they would come out in this conversation as well.
But it's going to come out. So we've been wanting to. So we figured, hey, let's talk about the hottest thing on the block right now. Everyone's talking about AI.
Let's talk about it
and kind of see what the situation is. So we're going to try to keep this under an hour. If y'all see my phone here, I'm timing it to make sure that I know exactly when we're around 45 minutes, and we'll kind of fizzle out a little bit. So,
and if this is going past an hour, start blowing the hell out of your horn if you're on the road.
Yeah, please do.
Or flicking your lights if you're in your house.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So, Herb, AI. I want to start off with you. I feel like I've been talking too much. I need to shut up a little bit here. AI. What are your thoughts? What are the goods? What are the bads? And how do you think we should be handling it as adults?
I think at the end there, when you say as adults, is one way, and then I think as non-adults, as underage, no adolescents, maybe a different way. I think that AI is another tool.
It's another tool.
Which, as humans, we have tools for lots of things. Whether that's if I need to get somewhere, I go get in a tool that helps me with transportation. If I need to look up something, I have a tool and a laptop that I can open it up and get online and use that tool to look up something. So I think that AI, like a lot of things, is a tool. Now, unfortunately, with tools, they can be used properly or misused. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is understanding that AI is a tool. As a society, we're going to get what we put into it, and there are going to be bad actors, but I don't think the overwhelming experience of AI or the overwhelming benefits of AI are outweighed by bad actors or malicious intent.
So we should have started here, but I think everybody has an idea of what AI is. But let's define it, and we'll throw it up here too. But I have it up here. AI today is a field of computer science dedicated to creating systems capable of performing complex tasks, such as reasoning, learning from data, and decision making. That typically requires human intelligence. Unlike traditional software, modern AI, specifically generative AI and machine learning, adapts to new information, automates tasks, generates content without explicit step-by-step instructions. That sounds cool.
Right.
That sounds cool to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And I think that's the definition that they all want us to think. You know,
Okay.
The oligarchs out there.
Uh-huh.
They
All
want us to
right.
think-
You got to date us over here.
They want us
Now
to think
I'm-
that it's a good thing, and I think at surface level it means well. So you gave a nice little synopsis of overall what you think the good and the bad is. Can you get into specifics? Like specifically, yeah. How do you want to start off? Do you want to start off with the goods? Start off with the goods. What are your goods? Because this is more of a conversation I want to have with you.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think is specifically good about AI? And then we'll go into what do you think is bad about AI or can be bad about AI.
Yeah.
Specifics as opposed to just a general.
Yeah. Specifically, especially for me in my everyday use of AI, it really does work as an assistant. Like, there's so many, and I'm a person that I work a lot. I'm communicating and sending emails, texts, things, putting together proposals, whatever those things may be. I think a lot of times, a lot of us had, especially in a work environment, where we would, sending an email to someone, a simple email may take me 10, 20 minutes, where I can type in the AI what I want as a response, and it'll spit me out something, immediately, and then I can go and start to utilize, and I have a framework for how I would want to respond to such an email, let's say, that comes through. Where before I have to think about this all on myself, this response all on myself. So it's really helped me as an assistant, I would say, to be able to make it more easier for me and more efficient for me in my day-to-day as far as work life.
All right.
That's it.
Real quick suggestion. Move the mic a little closer.
Oh, yeah. Come here.
So that you're not leaning back when you have to talk. Here we go. That way we catch you, because Herb a little soft-spoken. So,
Sometime.
But there we go. All right. So, number one, task-based AI you like.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like, task-based AI, to help me with specific tasks, to automate the specific tasks.
Yes.
I don't disagree with you on there. I have some thoughts on that, specifically the email writing stuff, which is the most I've ever really used it for. Right? We're talking about like the chat GPTs, the Claude
and we talk about
we talk about that.
Yes.
So you like that it automates it because it helps save time?
Absolutely.
Helps save time.
Save time and provide ideas that I wouldn't have thought about it that way, or that those type of things I would say definitely help as far as saving time and just providing like creativity and things like that.
Okay. Anything else that you find good about it?
I mean, it's so many different uses.
That's the thing, is there's a lot of different use cases for AI.
Because I'm thinking about it where I'm utilizing it the most is for work related task, I would say. However, in my normal everyday life, if I need to look something up now, I'm starting to utilize ChatGPT as opposed to going to Google. And then if you look on Google nowadays, it's starting to implement their own Gemini. So even the results that come back from Google, a lot of times I'm looking at that AI suggestion and then working my way down, as opposed to looking through 20 different links trying to figure out what the appropriate.
And just to be clear, my understanding, the differences of a Google search versus an AI search or chatbot to help you is that Google scours the internet for the keywords that you asked for and would pull up before, because now it does use Gemini, will pull up before all articles relevant to the question that you asked it.
Yep.
So what is a Toucan Sam? I don't know why that came up in my head, but that's just what we're going to roll with. What is a Toucan Sam? Y'all know the Toucan Sam, right? Fruit Loops
No
guy.
idea.
The Fruit Loops guy. The
Oh,
Fruit Loops
I had
mascot.
no idea who you talking. No, heck,
Fruit Loops
I know who
mascot.
you saying now, but I did not
His
know
name
what.
is Toucan Sam. Yeah,
Oh my God! No, never would have.
yeah.
Okay, I
So
can see
you
him.
throw that in there, and then Google search prior to Gemini would put up all the articles about Toucan. And there might be an article that says that directly responds to the question that you asked. AI, what it does is that it scours the internet, every piece of internet that it has, every piece of information, and it puts together an answer for you based off of everything on the internet. It doesn't just present you where you can find the answer. It gives you an answer and puts that all together. So it could, or the idea is to take a lot of that legwork done. Even though Google search was great, it still can be great, but the AI now will actually do all that work for you, and it will, I'm not going to call it reason. I want to be very clear about my words, because reasoning claims will claim that it's like a human, but it will use the training model that it was set to do to put together an actual coherent response, right? So that's a big difference, and you like that. You think that's great?
I think it's great.
I think that's decent. Okay. Anything else really good? Because you said there's a lot of use cases, and you're talking about for you. So what do you think is bad? Do you think it's bad?
It can be, absolutely.
It can be.
It can
Enlighten
be.
me on that.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, AI in its inherent self isn't bad, but it's going to come down to the user. And I think that's what, again, a lot of tools, a lot of things
Oh, you
that
think
have,
it's just the user that's going to make it bad?
absolutely.
Okay.
The AI isn't going to, what reasoning would the AI have to make itself or to even be bad? Like, in order for the AI to quote unquote be bad, it would almost have to know what good is and then make a cognizant decision to be bad.
I think you're missing a big point. I think you're missing a big piece to this.
Yeah, do
Who's
tell.
the creator?
Humans
who creates
are,
this?
of course,
exactly.
humans,
So
right.
it's not necessarily the AI itself is inherently bad.
All tools are
but
created
it's
by
the
humans.
people who create it.
Yeah, that's the human
Okay.
aspect. Yeah.
So that to me is a big major red flag. Are you creating it?
No.
No.
I don't create my vehicle.
Yeah.
I don't create this house.
Yeah, but your vehicle isn't an AI tool.
It's not an AI tool, but it's a tool.
It's a tool, but not an AI tool.
That
It's
could be
not
misused.
artificial intelligence. No. See, this is again where we have this big disagreement. There's a difference between a dumb, blunt object, which not necessarily
This
a car.
is-
There's
yeah,
a
yeah.
mechanical thing.
Yeah,
AI is not a dumb, blunt object at all. It's a tool. It's a tool that emulates intelligence in a very, very quick and effective way.
Okay.
And that if we don't, in my opinion, if we don't carefully curate these AI tools, and I don't even talk necessarily just the what do you call it? Just the actual
Applications.
task-based AI tools. Like I don't, I think Chatbot has,
GPT and stuff.
ChatGPT has done
Yeah,
some different
Gemini,
things.
all those
It might,
Copilot,
those are not necessarily going to. There's some bad things about it, but if we're not careful about how we create them, and I'll get into it, my certain things, like that's what the issue is. I think where you're missing is like, oh, it's just a tool. It's just going to be about the end user and how they use it. I disagree. I don't think it's necessarily about the end user. I think it's about who is creating it. How are they creating it? What are their intentions? What are they incentivized by creating now this artificial intelligence? Not creating social media, not creating even an algorithm, which can be just as dangerous, and I've talked about with social media.
Yeah.
Not creating a steamboat, not creating a television, not creating a radio transistor radio. We're talking about artificial intelligence. This is a whole new ball game.
As of now, I think if you start to look back at those things in the past, these like grand creations, these technological advances, is whether it's the internet, whether it's social media, once it starts to get that rapid adoption, and we see some of the misuses that could happen from it, I think there is a general ideology of, oh, we need to pull the brakes back because this thing could be bad, or we need to pull the brakes back from social media because this thing could be bad. And of course it can be, but I think overall it does come down to just the end user and how they're going to apply that.
I disagree because I think you're giving too much credence and too much trust in where we are in society today.
compared to
50 years ago or 100 years ago.
I would think culturally we're in a better place. You disagree with that?
I agree with you in the sense of if we're talking about maybe racial things, maybe sexual orientation things, gender-based things. Sure, maybe people are more accepting, but we are developing a larger wealth gap. And there are very few people up top who control most of the power.
Yep.
And this is very similar to what it was at the turn of the 20th century or the 19th century, 1900, when the Rockefellers and all that. And look what happened. We put trust in the wrong people, and we had the worst stock market crash ever because we had people who thought they were gods, and they were getting away with pretty much murder, and it was horrendous. Although at that time, we weren't dealing with artificial intelligence. We were just dealing kind of essentially with the stock market and like cattle farms and stuff like that.
No, I think that's when you see the
government stepped in and completely changed it up. Now, and if you're saying that's going to happen, well, I'd be curious to see how that's going to work. But I think we've evolved in a sense where we have this false sense of confidence that, because there's technically less violence in the world, because there's less violence in the world, we have running water, we have electricity. Like, these things give us a false sense of confidence that the people up top, we should trust them, when they've clearly showed us that we shouldn't trust them. And that, to me, is the biggest concern, is that you're giving, and a lot of people are giving, way too much credence to these fucktards up top. That's what I think of them. And saying, it's all right, we'll reel it in, we'll reel it in. And these motherfuckers think that they're gods like crazy. The one thing that I will say is that there was much more regulation with big corporations and big business 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago. And we are devolving into less and less regulation. And when there's no regulation, that's going to be really, really bad. That's my thoughts, and I can go into some of it a little bit.
I guess I would ask, like, in a sense, like, you mentioned, like, we put our trust in these people at the top, and I don't think that's the case. I don't think the average person trusts the CEO of a major corporation. And I don't think there's even a requirement necessarily of trust. Do you not feel that, you say they think they're gods? Like, what would be the benefit of these, CEOs doing? Or I guess let me ask this first. What do you think is the impact or the negative? What would that look like? Where you're like, oh, guys, AIs went too far. Like, what are you worried about?
All right, let me go.
What's the instance?
So I'm going to talk about. I've labeled this document in Derek's AI beef. I'm going to break it down into 4 categories.
Okay, let's
because I'm not just going to focus on one thing. I'm going to talk about why it's bad for the economy and people's wallets. Okay.
All right.
That's number 1. Number 2, I'm going to talk about why it's bad for the environment. Okay. And our planet. Number 3, I'm going to talk about why it's bad for jobs. Okay. And number 4, I'm going to talk about the reason that it's bad is because of the people who are running it. Okay. And the safety concerns with it. So I'm going to delve into this right now.
Okay.
And I've done some research and picked up some articles, and this is just obviously how I feel about it and why I think it's a level of concern. And then I can end it all with because I'm not anti-AI.
Okay.
That's not what this is about. I do believe that AI can be used for good and it can be very helpful. And so we'll talk a little bit about it. First and foremost, why is it bad for for the economy and people's wallets?
Okay.
Here's something that's not talked about a lot right now. Where we are right now is that this whole AI hype, okay, it's being forced down our throats.
Yes.
It's being marketed. It's
Absolutely.
being picked up by social media. It's being because these motherfuckers have money and they're trying to shove it down our throats. So what is that happening? By doing that, it's creating a massive uptick in investment in any company that does anything with AI. Okay?
Yep.
And so what's going to happen is that we are now leading into a possibility of a bubble burst, similar to the dot-com burst of 2000.
Agreed.
And the housing crisis of 2008.
Okay.
Which is awful for people's money.
Yep.
Many of the large hyperscalers, so hyperscalers are the Amazons of the world, the Googles of the world, these large cloud providers.
The ones that are carrying the AI bubble right now.
Yep. Yes. Many of these large hyperscalers companies, they're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on AI infrastructure. And the reality is they're not seeing the ROI they need in order to instill confidence to the shareholders. So we're getting to a really shaky place where it's like, we're dropping all this money on this infrastructure, but there's no ROI happening right now.
Oh, yeah. You see
and
that.
when there's no ROI happening, shareholders start getting a little, investors are like, oh, what's going on here? Yep. For example, let's talk about OpenAI, ChatGPT.
Let's go.
Okay, the creator of ChatGPT.
Yep.
it has created to date, it has committed to date $1.4 trillion worth of infrastructure spending over the next 5 to 6 years. And this is focused, when I say infrastructure spending, I'm talking about compute, power, and data centers. All right? While only generating $20 billion in annualized revenue. This is as of late 2025. And this is straight from an article that I read in TechCrunch, okay, which they're usually pretty friendly with AI. The article, you can go check it out. It's called Sam Altman Says OpenAI Has $20 Billion AIR, but about $1.4 trillion in committed buying infrastructure, which is scary because in order to continue having confidence in a company that you're investing in, you want to make sure that they're making a lot of money and making more money than they're spending, and they're not. Like right now, there's motherfuckers are chilling in over $1 trillion in debt.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a scary part. The other big part here is the S&P 500. Okay, which is where most of our 401ks are essentially invested, where the big stock market thing is all in there, that and the NASDAQ. The S&P 500, they have what they call the Magnificent Seven. For all of y'all that don't know that, it's the tech giants that I was just talking about. They account for 25% of its market capitalization, okay, and 52% of its total gains in 2025. And this is according to an article that was written in Fortune magazine in January 2026. So the Magnificent Tech 7, the Magnificent 7 is Meta, right? Facebook. Alphabet, Google, that's Google. NVIDIA, which we got to talk about NVIDIA, they're the largest creators of GPU chips, which run AI workloads. Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, and Tesla. Those are the Magnificent Seven, okay? 7 companies total are responsible for 52% of the total gains in 2025, all right? Now, why is that a bad thing? Well, having 7 companies responsible for so much of the gains is really bad, right? It's really bad because it causes a high market concentration risk.
Not diversity. We're not diversified.
Very similar to the dot-com bust of 2000, where it was 10 companies that held over 50% of the market gains. So what does that mean? If any one of these companies, 2 or 3 companies, all of a sudden drop, like that's a problem. Like my 401k and my brokerage account has been soaring the past 2 years, strictly because, and it's not, I didn't make these investments, I didn't choose them. I just have like the default kind of high risk choosing, and most of them are invested in this, and I've been making a lot of money. I've been making a lot of money because this AI hype is going fucking crazy. It's going fucking crazy. And this is a problem because if they're not going to make their money, if they're not going to be able to make revenues against the commitments that they've already made financially, people are going to lose confidence, and people are going to start pulling out. Investors are no longer going to invest into it because the reality is this AI hub has been shoved down their throat, and I don't think people realize that there's actually not that much AI really going on out there. The reality is, like, there is more than ever because we went from not having AI in 2022 to all of a sudden now we have it. So there is, but it's not as much as you think. It's been completely hyped. Another example here is NVIDIA stock has been soaring like crazy because, like I said before, they provide most of the processing power needed to run AI models and workloads. So FYI, part of the reason why I know this is my last job I worked. This is what I did. I sold to AI data centers. I sold to AI data centers because they were going to be consuming more energy due to the NVIDIA GPUs. And TPUs. Google has their own kind of processing power called TPUs. And I had some really stark conversations with some people in some AI data centers trying to sell them shit. And they were like, yo, we don't even have our data centers built right now. Like, this shit's crazy. This shit is crazy. So for some of y'all that don't know, traditional workloads or traditional applications, meaning non-AI workloads, most of them run off of server CPUs, computing processing units, right? They're very steady state workloads.
When you say applications, are you talking about like a Word or
whatever you have on your phone, right? So Netflix runs off of a server in the cloud. It's going to run off of a CPU server, right? That type of stuff, right? So any application you have on your phone, to your point, Microsoft Office on your computer, but any of that stuff. GPUs are able to process a lot faster, a lot quicker, and AI workloads need that because people hit those workloads super, super hard. So they need higher processing powers that CPUs aren't able to achieve. Hence, NVIDIA creating the GPU. And so now everyone buys GPUs to run AI workloads and AI training models. So companies are buying up NVIDIA GPUs like crazy due to the hype. However, number one, data centers that are needed to support these, they can't build quickly enough. There's so much red tape that you have to go through to build a data center. Again, I just came from this world. I was literally talking to data centers about this. Number two,
just for like maybe even just to give them an idea, how big of a data center do you think is required? You know, what's the size of these data centers that you're thinking of?
man, I can't even tell you square footage wise. I can't even remember.
Alrighty.
All right, we apologize for
Season 2. Welcome back.
welcome back for that inconvenience, but we back. Maybe the transition wasn't
Holy
bad.
shit.
So let me get back on my fucking high horse.
Keep
all right?
going, because I'm making notes over here too. I
Back on
want to
this-
make sure I address what you got going on.
All right, so like I was saying, there's data centers can't be built quickly enough
Yep.
to support the amount of GPUs that are being purchased by companies. So if you can't actually get your GPUs in data centers to run AI workloads, you are not making money. That's a fact. Number two, and this goes into it. If these GPUs are sitting there being unused, the company's losing out on money because they aren't generating revenue. No revenue means they can't pay back loans to the banks, and they can eventually go under. That's a big problem. Number three here is there's simply not enough energy to run these AI data centers, and that's a really, really hard-hitting fact.
Okay.
GPUs are going to consume a lot more energy, and I'll go into a little bit when I talk about why it's bad for the environment.
Okay.
That's massive.
Okay.
And one of the big things too, I've seen a lot of investigative journalism. If you guys want to see some really good investigative journalism on this, you should watch More Perfect Union on YouTube. They do some really good investigative journalism. But the residents in the town and cities where these data centers are being built are pretty much fronting the energy bills, and they're skyrocketing.
Okay.
Like these data centers, XAI being built in Memphis, the Meta data center also being built in some of these places. Like, yo, bills are skyrocketing, and I don't know. Texas is building a lot of AI data centers.
Oh yeah, I know. It's going up right in San Antonio.
Yeah,
Microsoft is building one.
There's some shit here, and when I tell you, and I don't know if this is directly responsible because of AI data centers, but my bill alone has gone up at least $75, and that's with solar panels that I have in my house. Religiously, I was steady state $125 a month. I pay over $200 for electricity now a month, and I live by myself. Now, granted, it's Austin, it's Texas, like the AC, but like when I tell you, yo, these data centers are getting away with murder, and so that's kind of my rundown on why AI in general, the way it's being overly hyped up, and overly, how should I say it? I don't even know what the right word is to say it. I believe is bad for people's wallets, and I think it's bad for the economy. Now, I have three other points I want to touch on, but I just spoke a lot, so let me pause there and see if you have anything you want to say.
Yeah, so I was going to ask on the, one of the points is the economy of it, and these companies are, making bad investments on AI.
There's going to be a burst. There's going to be a burst, bro.
I agree. But with the dot-com bubble, with the real estate bubble, like with, any of these bubbles that we experience, isn't it good to have a reset? And now we see what the real and the fake is, because there is a lot of fake AI out there, and I think that's what you're saying. Let's get through the fluff, and there's a lot of fluff with same thing with the .com. But after the .com, real websites, real businesses survived, and I think that's what you don't feel we'll see that with AI. And what responsibility do we hold to make sure that Sam Altman is making great investments for open AI?
I mean, in my opinion, it comes down to, we can always choose with our wallet. That's just the reality. Right. That's the only choice that we have. We can choose where we invest and where we don't invest.
I'm saying, what responsibility do we even have to make sure that they're, the economy of it aspect, if Sam Altman, if OpenAI fails, who cares? There's going to be a tool for generative AI. It doesn't have to be OpenAI, which, if you think about it, really, the scary one I would say is Google, because Google has had this years. They've always had it, and the reason they didn't put it out is because they were afraid of what they found from it. Mm-hmm. So that part there, I would give you that. But once OpenAI came out and started doing it, they were like, well, they've opened the floodgates. Now we can go in and put it in.
I think to say that, don't we need a failure so we can know the fluff? We do if we don't know that there's fluff, but the thing is we know there's fluff. And so why put people's 401ks through that? That's my biggest concern is people's 401k. Why put people's life savings at jeopardy when we know there's fluff?
I'm going to ask what responsibility do you yourself hold as what happens to what's in your 401k?
You definitely have certain responsibilities, but for a lot of it, most people don't even know how. Most people, we've talked about this finance, most people don't know how a 401k even works. They just know that they probably throw one in there.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe you should say with responsibility for that, but these companies are taking advantage of your lack of knowledge. They know that most of us don't know.
Absolutely.
And they're like, you're fucking stupid. So you know
Yeah,
what? I'm going to take advantage of
absolutely.
it. I'm going to take advantage of all
Companies,
this.
we have our administration that's doing
That, but that's my point. Like to pawn it off on us as individuals. Like, yes, we all have agency. I agree with you. And I think we should all try to stay as aware as possible. But that doesn't excuse purposeful bad behavior from the systems at hand, from the banks,
Absolutely.
from these companies.
If there's bad behavior, it needs to be dealt with. But I think that if, let's say Microsoft or Google is understanding the value of OpenAI and they're doing the value of a AI tool, and they're saying we're doing everything we can to provide our consumers with the best technology going forward, similar to where
I don't think they are, though.
You don't think so?
That's the problem. That goes to my last point. Like, I don't think any of these companies genuinely are trying to do something. I think individuals within companies think that. But I think overall, it's not about providing the best technology. It's about what can I make the most money from.
Yeah.
And that's where we've devolved from. We are given this false sense. We're given the illusion of choice here in this country. That's the reality of it.
That's fair.
We are given the illusion of choice
That's
that
fair.
we have a free market capitalist society, or economy rather, and that if this product doesn't work well, I can just go here. You heard me name the Magnificent Seven.
Yes.
There's only 7 giants that you really pick from. And even if you go, oh no, but I use this, go look it up. They're probably owned by one of these 7 giants. So we have this illusion of choice. And even if you want to say, oh, but we get to choose from 4 or 5 of these giants, that's not real choice in a free market capitalist society or economy. That's not real choice. Choice is when you have dozens, hundreds of places where you can go to get a service or to get a product.
You can find 100 different AI companies out there. I think the reason why you see a select few is because there is a sense of the cream of the crop will rise. Like, the good companies will rise and the bad companies will fail, and it will create a separation. And at the top, I agree. Like, at the end of the day, because these companies are so massive to the point where they almost are too big to fail. If Microsoft decides they want to put out Gemini and it doesn't work, that's okay for Microsoft. They can absorb that loss, go back and do more R&D. However, even with a company like OpenAI, if ChatGPT fails, OpenAI is done. So then, I think that this word is a situation where it's like, these companies, these large, magnificent companies, that's in the Magnificent Seven, the reason why they exist and the reason why it is probably in the best interest that they are the ones that are providing us with these tools, because they do have the leverage to be able to put out something, it not perform how they initially wanted it to do, figure out what's the best use case for it, and then go back and give us something else that make it be better.
Yeah.
Where if we were just leaving it to like if we were just saying, I don't think we don't need 12 dozen. I don't think we need dozens of AI companies. We don't need a dozen ChatGPT tools.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I got
these
you.
These are good.
No, I got you. I hear you in that from that perspective. In kind of what I was just trying to highlight was, all right, let me talk about the reason why AI can be bad, and it can be really bad from a financial economic perspective. But you can argue that any new disruptive technology can come with the same things. That's why I'm not just leaving it at like don't buy into the hype because it's bad. It can be bad for the economy. I'm not going to hang my hat on that. That's just one of the reasons that I think we should think about.
Yeah,
we should definitely think about.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about the environment and listen.
Okay.
If we want to argue that we aren't damaging the environment, if we want to argue that the people up top genuinely don't give a fuck, that's crazy talk, because they don't. Like, it's just the reality. They don't.
When we say the people up top, are we just specifically talking about like the CEOs, or are we talking about politicians?
Who's running this world? It's the billionaires. I mean, you saw with the Epstein files.
Yes,
It's these fucking billionaires.
Yes.
Like, to say that the government, they run the government too. They've infiltrated it. We see this with their money.
Absolutely.
Money is power. So yes, I mean all those guys. From an environment perspective, right? And this is coming from someone who just left a company that sold energy and electrical monitoring solutions to AI data centers. Like, this is what I did. When I tell you that the amount of energy that these AI workloads consume is ridiculously greater than your traditional CPU workloads.
Absolutely.
And the reason for it is because when you're asking for a command for specifically a chat bot, and it's not just chat bots we're talking about for AI, by the way. Just like there's multiple
Autonomous
different things you can
all
do.
These types of things that we're doing that you're saying.
A command goes in, it spikes and it fluctuates the energy that it pulls from the grid. Right. And so these fluctuations are crazy, and they're far greater than a simple search query. that you do look on Google type of a thing. Yeah. So a typical dual socket CPU server, okay, can consume between 600 and 750 watts compared to 8,000 to 12,000 watts per an 8 GPU rack. Now, I know that might not mean much, and I don't necessarily expect you to do that, but the numbers are definitely going to be far different. All right. So, yes, GPU servers can run more workloads than a CPU. So there is an argument, especially NVIDIA. They do this argument all the time. Oh, but we have more GPUs, and so we can run more workloads per se in a more sustainable way. Mm-hmm. And so that sounds good at face value. Because now you're saying, well, my one workload that's being run on our GPU is more sustainable than one workload being run on a CPU. Mm-hmm. And at face value, that makes a lot of sense. Because you think about it, you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But the idea is if you're trying to run 80 applications per workload on a CPU server, and if it draws 2 kilowatts of power, and instead you use GPU servers because they're more efficient, right? That's what they say. These are more efficient. And you'll only draw 500 watts of power with those same 80 workloads. That makes sense. That goes, okay, yeah, we should be using these GPUs. But that's not what we do. And that's not what ends up happening. What they end up doing is they end up stuffing more workloads onto it. They go, oh, I'm not just going to run the 80 workloads that I had on this, these 2 servers for CPUs. Well, now I'm going to run 500 workloads.
Of course.
So now it's not going to be that 2 kilowatts. Now you're going to be drawing more like, 12 kilowatts or 25 kilowatts. Okay. And so it's always an excuse to do more.
What is the issue of it drawing more energy?
Because, that's what I was going to get to, right? That's exactly what I was going to get to. When you draw more energy, you're going to be burning a lot more fossil fuel. And that's a big contributor to climate change, right? To the environment. It's super damaging to the environment because burning more fossil fuels adds more carbon dioxide to the actual, to the air and to the environment. And that's super bad. Super bad. I don't even need to say it. Like, I feel like I'm talking elementary, but like that goes without saying. When you're drawing more energy, yes, we have solar panels. Yes, we have wind power. Yeah, but the reality is it doesn't, right now we haven't figured out a way to sustain the amount of energy we're trying to consume. Because all we're doing is trying to consume more energy under the guise of, oh, but this is good for us. Oh, but we're doing it for AI. This is all good for us. It's like, dude, at what point is enough? Let me stop there. The other big piece is that running these high intense GPU workloads, right, or these AI workloads, there's one aspect of a data center. Again, this is what I just learned, is the draw of the energy for these GPUs. The other piece is that when you're pulling that much energy, when you're pulling that much energy from the grid, that generates a lot of heat. A lot of heat on this hardware, so you have to cool it down. So there's another level of aspect of, how they always say in data centers, power and cooling. Yeah. Power and cooling is a cost. Yep. Power and cooling is you need energy to cool as well, in some way, shape, or form. Now, a lot of traditional data centers have used fans. Fans, they're a mechanical thing. They need electricity for the fans to actually work. Yep. Now, what a lot of people are doing now, a lot of data centers are doing, is they're doing water cooling or some way of the sort. So now we're using water to do more of the cooling, and we're drawing more and more water, where water also is a scarce resource, right? And so if you're pulling water, that's not good for the necessarily environment to cool all these data centers. It's a massive thing. Now, there are companies doing some really creative things where they're not necessarily using water. They're using these oil-based cooling things, but it's something to keep in mind. It's certainly something to keep in mind because we live in a world where, how should I say this? Like, we're cannibalizing ourselves.
You think so?
I think we're cannibalizing ourselves because we're the population's getting bigger, even though we can talk about the whole birth rates are going down. But
that is literally, that's my thing.
Yeah. The birth rate's going down, but like the population, we just hit $8 billion people worldwide last year. Yeah. And that means more energy needs to be done. So as opposed, needs to be drawn. How do we find the balance between the right amount of addition to energy draw versus what we actually need for ancillary things? Like this AI thing for me is like not completely unnecessary, but it's so over exaggerated. And I don't think most of us are asking for half the shit that they're throwing out there from an AI perspective. Like that's just the reality of it. So that's that piece on the environment. But what are your thoughts?
I was gonna say on the environment, I think that for one aspect of it is that like, I don't know, the energy aspect of it is this not opening up creative opportunities for us to find better ways to, either make fossil fuels more efficient or find other avenues of renewable energies and things like that. Like AI is creating those, the economy aspect of it, it is creating these opportunities and these new jobs, these new professions. So how do we balance that aspect of it, where I also feel like I care about Mother Earth and I care about, us not killing the environment. Also, I will say that, she's tough.
It's not about her. It's about us. Earth is going to be here way after we're gone.
There we go.
It's not about that.
Okay then.
But this is the argument that I have with you all the time. Why is it okay for you to be like, well, if 2 million people die, it's because of what we're doing to the environment, whatever, it's fine. Like, where do we draw that line?
I don't think that
is
there's
50 million people okay? Is 1 billion people okay?
I don't think
people are going to be here.
Okay, it's like driving a vehicle. Like, how many people have to die on a road every single day?
Yeah, but we tried when we made vehicles safer and safer.
Agreed.
We
what is
made
the
them super safe.
What's the acceptable number of deaths from automobile accidents for us to be like, okay, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing to make it safer? It didn't start out that way. It had to get regulations.
Yeah, but look at vehicles weren't killing like pollution's killing over. I got to look up the number, but like pollutions, fossil fuel pollutants from companies kill over 100,000 people in the United States. I want to say, or something like that. Vehicle deaths is not that much. Even today, it's not that much. Okay. And that's just that. We haven't even talked about the other environmental issues. We haven't talked about, from natural disasters, hurricanes, all that. Like, these are massive numbers that no one talks about because they're kind of indirect type of things. Right. Like, a hurricane happens. People aren't like, oh, that's tied to Microsoft's use of the energy that they did or whatever the case is. But my point is that these are things that we have to think about, and I know these motherfuckers aren't thinking about it. And you brought up a question about like, but isn't this a good way for us to get to creative, blah, 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 blah? Sure. And there are people working on very creative ways. Yeah. But they're running an uphill battle because we've known about global warming for 50 years and it's only getting worse and worse and worse and worse. When we found out about car accidents and how unsafe they were, car accidents have gone down. Car accident deaths have gone down because we made it safer and safer. So we listened to it. Yeah. We haven't listened to the scientists that have been speaking about global warming for 50 years, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse. That's my point.
I guess I'm going to say, like, yes, it could be getting worse and worse and worse, but what is the magnitude of worse? Are we talking about, going from a 10 to a 5 to a 2, that accelerated rate? Or are we talking about going from 10 to 9.9999999? 9.9999998, 9.99999. Like what? I guess I would have to ask, like, what is the quantifiable damage that AI is causing to her?
Well, it's not just AI. I'm just saying we're adding to it, right? We're adding. I'm not saying AI is going to be the sole responsible reason why, but we're adding to it. We're adding to the negative impact to the environment by these massive data centers and how much they're going to consume by having to run AI workloads. We're adding tremendously to it. And if AI is the future, we're only going to continue adding. And again, then it comes down to water resources. It comes down to so many different things.
But I think it's like flat TVs. Like, at some point, the technology will get to a point where it won't require all of this massive amount of energy to power these data centers as chips get better.
So my question is, and this is another big thing too, because what pisses me off is that we keep being throwing this shit in our face that, if we don't do it, China's going to do it. I fucking hate that shit. And the reality is that it is true. We are in a Cold War with China with regards to AI, but we've made an enemy out of China, just like we made an enemy out of all these countries. This idea that we have to spend $1 trillion on military because they're going to get us, and so we have to get them first, is the biggest load of bullshit in my world. It's a way to the industrial military complex, the whole 9 yards. So they're using that as an excuse, especially people on the right, to be like, we can't let China beat us. We got to invest in AI.
I think there's always healthy competition between companies, but I personally don't feel like there's a beef with China. Like, I don't have any beef with China.
We don't. But I'm talking about the leaders up top constantly are telling us,
but I don't China they don't have a beef with China.
They do have a beef with China. Well, maybe they don't. No, they maybe don't. But
throw that out there.
But no, I think they just
nationalism.
I think it's not even nationalism. It's about they're going to use their AI in a nefarious way against us, and that is true. I do believe that they will.
They run it on the same chips.
But we've done. the amount of damage we've done to countries. And then we love to sit there and be like, and then when we get slapped in the mouth or punched in the mouth, we get all fucking like, I can't believe they did that. It's like, bro, you've been shitting on these other countries your entire lives. Like, what do you expect? So we've dug ourselves our own grave. Because I don't disagree that, yeah, I do think China will use it nefariously against us. I do think China will.
It's
Russia.
not even the best interest of it, too.
I think it is.
Like, it's almost like 1984, where, like, these major players, like, it does no good for America to, quote-unquote, wipe China or Russia off the map. Like, we're not, nobody's trying to...
No, I'm not saying wipe them off the map, but you can... What does Trump and all of them always talk about China? Like, they're always like, this is our biggest competition.
Absolutely,
we can't let them do that.
Who else are we going to
I don't think they're necessarily talking about, it's not a friendly competition thing that they're talking about. Like, it's not. They genuinely think that China's going to do something nefarious to us. And so we have to get them before. History? It doesn't matter what history. It's just the narrative that they're throwing out there.
Exactly. So I don't think they truly believe this.
But there was no history with Russia either. And they did the whole Cold War. Boy, based on what history? Russia never attacked us.
Right.
But they had the Cold War and they got everybody amped up with nukes and nukes.
There are going to be wars and things like that.
But my point is, this is the same as nukes. We have way too many nukes in here. And if somebody wants to act up, but if somebody wants to, yes, sir, Japan's been. We nuked them. What do you mean?
We didn't nuke them.
Nagasaki, Hiroshima. Those are the first nuclear bombs.
I mean,
those are the first nuclear bombs.
From atomic. Okay.
Those are the first nuclear bombs.
Nuclear bombs.
Those are the same. They're the same. That's the first. We're going off topic here. My bad.
Okay.
My bad. Look, we could talk about this shit for days, man. We could talk about this shit for days.
As you can see, at the end of this, I will say this. Here's what I would say, and just kind of wrapping up on my end of what I think. I think that if as
real
a
quick,
consumer,
I don't think we should wrap up. By the way, when I say I don't think I think we need a part 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's fine.
I got more shit to say.
I said as a consumer,
yeah,
I think that yes, you do need to be cognizant of the technology that is put in front of you, whether that's AI, whether that's whatever the new technology that is that they come out that they put in front of you. You need to be cognizant of it and get an understanding of it. That said, I think once you do that, you will see, for the most part, the benefits, because it does Microsoft or Google no good to put out bad products, because the competition is between them. The money is the competition. It ain't the geographical borders and all those things. At the end of the day, the money is the competition. So it behooves them to put out bad products to drive away to damage revenue. So I think that, as long as we're understanding they're not doing bad, I don't want to say economic or accounting or financial things to the consumers, then I think you can welcome it as another tool.
I think on the surface that makes a lot of sense, and I think that's how we've operated for many years. That bad products, bad solutions is bad for business, and so we need to not jeopardize that. I also think that regulation was a big reason why we were able to stay afloat with a lot of these things.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a pendulum.
ChatGPT. AI is being highly deregulated in the United States.
For now.
Massively. For the next 10 years.
Possibly.
And no. The executive order that Trump put out in December 2025.
Yep.
Pretty much, and I have the details here. On December 11, 2025, Trump signed an executive order titled Ensuring a National Policy Framework for Artificial Intelligence, which promotes a minimally burdensome approach to AI regulation. This order aims to encourage innovation by preventing potentially restrictive state-level regulations from hindering national AI development. And this isn't a coincidence. This is why all these fucktards were at this guy's inauguration.
Yes.
Okay? This is why they're giving him money. They want leeway. In their minds... Again, less regulation means their egos are less checked. And I'll give you the example of Watergate. Okay. Not Watergate, I'm sorry. What was the submarine imploding?
Oh.
God, what was it called? Ocean Gate.
There we go.
Ocean Gate. That guy operated outside of the United States because he didn't want their restrictions and regulations.
Yes. Yep.
He had hubris. He was a billionaire.
Yep.
He thought he was smarter than everyone else.
Yep.
And I say thankfully, RIP to everyone that was on board that passed away, including him. But thankfully, it was just that one submarine, because this is a different type of an industry. But look what happened. And now what we're saying is, hey, more billionaires that are from cut from the similar cloth as this man, that have this hubris and ego that they know better than everybody, that they're gods and that they're not wrong, and they're never going to be wrong. Okay. I think that's the problem. I think, yes, obviously it's more about money, but in their minds, they don't think that this is going to break. They don't think that anything bad is going to happen necessarily. They think maybe small things are going to happen and we can deal with it here, isolated incidences. They don't think, because they think that they know better than all of us. And so my question, and I think we should end here so that we can segue into the final piece of the podcast, and we'll also talk about this in part 2. My ending of it is, why do we trust these motherfuckers? Because I hate saying it, like, that's what I don't hate saying this. I'm saying it for a reason. Why are we trusting them when they don't think that they can ever be wrong? And they genuinely don't think that they can ever be wrong. And so they're moving fast. They have this notion of let's move fast and break things. You don't want to do that with AI. I agree that you have to make mistakes. I'm not saying that. But there needs to be some frameworks and some regulations that are put in place stronger than what they are right now, because, again, we are not dealing with the steam engine. We are not dealing with the plasma TV. We're not dealing with even social media and algorithms. We are dealing with artificial intelligence that they don't even know. They don't even know. They have the black box theory where they don't even know how some of these AI bots and workloads and training models get to the answers that they get to. And that's a scary thing. And I just think we need to just chill. So let me pause there. I don't know if you want to finish by adding something else on that, but we need to get to the end.
I think we did a good, good job of expressing kind of, some drawbacks and some kind of how we both feel about the AI thing. I think this is a conversation that we can have for a while, because I think you said some good things there. I also just feel like as a consumer, I don't need to trust Microsoft in the sense of like trusting these billionaires.
That's crazy that you don't need to trust them.
For what?
Because they're putting out a part 2. We got to talk about this in part 2. Because in part 2, I do need to talk about where I think AI is useful. Because I know I sound like a big ass AI hater.
Yes.
And for the most part, I am. But I do believe that there's a lot of good that can come from it. But let's jump into our next sentence. Sorry, guys, may have felt a little choppy. This is a very in-depth conversation, and I don't want to pretend like we know everything, because we don't, or we even know it that intimately. I did a little research,
I might know some things.
He might know some things, apparently. Talk about the hubris over here. All right, you want to go into your fun fact? Or,
I'll jump right into it, just because we kind of brought it up earlier. We were just talking about the birth rate in the U.S., and it's so funny. This conversation came up with a friend of mine just recently, and we were just talking about the U.S. birth rates and things like that. So as you kind of brought up, if the birth rate stayed the same where it is today and immigration stopped completely, because this is getting into immigration, the U.S. population would eventually shrink.
Yep.
We're currently well below the levels needed to replace ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting to think of there.
They're not interesting. That's terrifying. But also, I'm split on this.
Okay.
Because I've had this conversation. One of the big things and one of the big problems is, I think even a bigger problem is that the young and able are the ones that bankroll Social Security. And if we don't have people being born, then none of us are going to be able to retire. It's kind of on you. And I don't think Social Security isn't meant to be the only thing to retire off of, but it's important. It's a big piece of how old people were able, to completely get out of poverty. When Franklin Roosevelt implemented the Social Security Act in like the 1930s or whatever the case is, it literally lifted hundreds of thousands and millions of elderly people out of poverty. That's a big thing. And so this lack of having children is extremely detrimental. I think, what is the rate of birth rate here? Is it 1.7 now?
It is.
In the United States? Because I watched the whole video on this. This shit's wild. I think South Korea has the lowest with like 1.2, which is wild, because you need to have something higher than 2. Right now, the global average, I want to say, is 2.1. That's just enough for us to replace ourselves, because you think about two parents getting together and having a kid, right? That they have an average of 2.1. When I say the number 2.1, I mean 2.1 kids per couple. That's enough to replace mom and dad.
1.6.
Here in the United States,
yep,
it's 1.6. So right now, the average couple or family is having 1.6 kids. That's not enough to replace the parents, and that can be a problem.
Need 2.1.
Yeah,
to do the replacement.
We need to. So it is an issue. What I will say is, here's the truth. Women realize that they don't fucking need men anymore like that. No, it's true. Not all. And I say that very harshly. And I apologize to my ladies. I don't want to speak on your behalf, but what I'm understanding is that women are choosing, a lot of women are choosing to not be in toxic relationships or with man children.
Yep.
Because a lot of men are a bunch of absolute babies, and they just want a second mommy.
I wouldn't want to deal with them.
Yep, and you wouldn't want to deal with them, and so a lot of women are choosing their peace and their comfort, and I don't because they don't need necessarily a man to support them financially, and that's a big thing.
And that's what I think. That's the whole need is finances.
Yeah.
Like. Yeah. So I think that's a good.
Finances is big. Like I don't want to have a kid. Like I want a kid, but like shit's expensive, dog.
Right.
Everything's getting more and more expensive, and that's a massive. That's like literally it gives me pause to be like, like I want to bring a child into this world, but I could barely afford myself, dog. I could barely afford myself. You good?
I'll take some water later. But
Cedar's hitting you.
We good.
All right, so that's that. So that is very interesting. Thank you for that. My quick fun fact is I know AI has been obviously a big topic of discussion the past couple of years. And for maybe some people, they might think that AI is brand new, but AI is not a brand new thing. The idea of AI was created in 1950 by a computer scientist named Alan Turing. He proposed a test for machine intelligence or machine learning, a machine that can trick humans into thinking it's human. So that's fucking scary. AI was actually born, the term, in 1955. And it was coined by computer scientist John McCarthy as artificial intelligence. And it was used to describe the science and emergence of making intelligent machines. And so one of the actual first AI tools per se that was really tested and worked was in 1997. I don't know if some of y'all may not know this. I remember this. I know Herb might remember this. Deep Blue. Deep Blue was the chess playing computer from IBM that defeated the world chess champion Jerry Kasparov. And so AI has been around for a while in terms of the idea, the thought, and the notion, but it obviously didn't start really making a splash until the 2010s, and now we have it in a consumer packaged type of solution, and that's kind of where it's at. But yes, again, the idea of AI has been around for 75 years, 76 years.
And I think that's the part of it is that it has been around so long, and I think this comes down to the understanding of AI and like it's like computers for the longest they were out, and then it finally became a consumer product. That's why also I feel like we will get it right because this isn't brand new. It's brand new to us as a consumer, but it's not brand new to computer science. And there we go.
I faithfully disagree. We will talk about that in episode 2. Hey, but I appreciate y'all for being with us. Herb's about to start crying because he's choking on something over here. I don't know what's going on.
Man.
Hey, but we'll talk to y'all. Leave us a comment. Holla at your boys.
Back.
We appreciate it. We back. This can't be adulting.
Boom.
Much easier than the other ones in the comments.